friends, and welcome back to another episode of Dark Side of the Word. Right now, a once-a-month book club as we navigate this fun part of life that we're going through. But again, we just love reading horror so much. We love chatting about books so much. We love each other so much.
We do. And there's so many good books that we need to talk about. So we can't just go away completely. So once a month is fine. I think it's a nice compromise.
But hopefully, maybe, in the future, next year, we'll get back to, author interviews and all the fun shit, because I'm still on the high of our Kingfisher interview for realsies.
I kept thinking about that while I was reading this book, and I was like, oh, man, that was a good time. That was a good time.
Oh, and I had someone comment on our last book club talking about how much they're obsessed with Kingfisher, and I was like, hey, we have an interview with her. Yeah. Maybe you should go check it out. So, it's just
kind of a big deal,
I might be just throwing that around a lot, too, because I'm just yeah.
We should.
We got to interview.
That's huge. That's huge. I actually, little sidebar. So I had started listening to a podcast on and off called The Bitch Is Back with Charisma Carpenter, who played Cordelia on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And she had on her podcast as a guest Christopher Golden, who wrote the wonderful, amazing The House of Last Resort, and has written another book that we will be covering later in the podcast this year. And I was just like, look at this. I am 1 degree. We didn't interview him. In my head, for some reason, I think we interviewed him, even though we did not. But still, we read his book. I feel like there's a connection. We're reading another book. I talked to his publicist on the regular. I feel like there's just 1 degree of separation between me and the Buffy world, the actual people in the Buffy world.
Okay, 2 things. 1, yes, we're not just reading his book, we were given his book to read it.
That's true. 2, we were approached to read his book and review it.
Can you remind me who Cordelia is on Buffy? Because you know all my names. And
Cordelia is the rich, bitchy, brown-haired girl.
Oh, yes, she goes to Angel. Okay, yes.
Yeah, she goes to Angel, exactly.
I'll know it right away. You gotta give me more than a name, because I suck at this. I think it's my tism. No, I cannot remember names to save my life.
She has a really good podcast. I've only listened to that 1 episode so far, but it was funny. And she talks, Charisma Carpenter, I don't know if she's doing it on purpose, but she talks just like Cordelia talks, the same cadence and style. So I find that very amusing. But the interview with Christopher Golden was so good, because even though he's done, and I found this out in the podcast, he's done so much screenplays, behind the scenes work, on Buffy, he does the comics.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff, and I was blown away. But he says first and foremost, his main love is novel writing. And the way he talked about novel writing, I was just like, Christopher Golden, you understand the heart of all of us novel writers. And it was just wonderful. So if you have a chance to check that episode out of that podcast, you should, because it's really great if you're a writer, a Buffy fan, a Christopher Golden fan, just entertaining. And that's my end of my little side tangent, okay?
I'm going to have to link this podcast episode in the show notes. So if you're looking for it, it'll be in the show notes. But also, now, it was The House of Last Resort, correct, that we read?
Yes.
Now that you say that he's worked actual script and comic book writing, that makes so much more sense than how the book read, though.
Okay.
Because it had a cinematic quality
of
horror movies and themes of horror movies, and just the way that it played out on the page. That makes a whole lot more sense now.
Okay, I could see that. And he's written 20 novels or something too. But yeah, this man never sleeps, I don't think. He's just always doing creative projects. And it feels like he does them with friends and the people he likes to do. He's gotten to that point in his career where he can just pick and choose what projects he wants to do. And I'm like, that is what all creatives aspire to. Even if you're not, I don't know how much money he was making, but even if you're not making in general a ton of money, you're still doing your creative work. You're living the creative life. You're working with your friends. How amazing is it to just work on things with your friends? That's what we all aspire to be too, I think.
I just want to live comfortably and fully support myself.
Yeah.
Creating.
Creating.
That's so much to ask.
With my friend. There we go. I'm halfway there. Just I can't fully support myself yet.
I know, sadly.
I finally stopped talking about what I do for my day job. When people ask me oh, what are you doing today? I will mention what I'm doing for my blog, what I'm writing, what I'm podcasting. I won't mention my 9 to 5. And people eventually sometimes will ask me oh, do you have a job, real job? And I'm I do, but I'm it kills my soul and I don't want to talk about it. So I don't. And this way I live in the world where it seems like I don't have that job, but I do. And I just talk about everything I do in my free time.
Wow, you are so much braver than I am because and I don't have a 9 to 5. I mean, I kind of do, but not. I am still too afraid to say what I do for like, but
For
like
a
your
living.
actual work.
Yeah.
For a living, for fun. I'm still too embarrassed to say like, oh, I'm a writer.
I sometimes feel a little embarrassed, but I've been practicing with my note cards to remind myself who I am, what I do, what matters in my life, and what makes me happy to talk about. And my regular job it's nice. I enjoy aspects of it, and it gives me money, which I enjoy, and medical benefits, and I appreciate very much. But it doesn't light me up the way everything else does. So
I know, but that's such a brave thing to do. I would even think Amy would also sit here and tell you from Inspired to Write that you are being a very brave little soul and that you made a huge shift in your life, and this is massive.
Thank you. You will get there too. I just practiced every day because I had to make it a reality in my head before I can make it a reality out there.
Well, it was kind of funny because I'm in this like fun women's group and we have a new member that joined and she was going on and on about like how she's in the literary space and all this stuff. And I just sat there and I was just nodding my head. I didn't like speak up about anything I did. And I'm just like, oh, that sounds interesting. Oh, okay. And then just sitting here like,
see, you could give that. You could be like piggyback on that and be like, oh, I'm in the creative sphere too.
yeah, I know. But it was also kind of fun to play the mysterious person and just be like, well, you didn't know what I've done.
True. It is kind of fun.
I know. I'm sitting here like, well, I got to talk to T. Kingfisher, so.
True. True. And that's the part I don't really tell people. But yeah, we should just, spread that shit everywhere because that's fantastic.
And we also have other interviews. I feel like all
other interviews. We've loved all of our interviews, definitely. But
we're just fangirls of freaking T. Kingfisher, which is why this month's book is her newest release, Wolfworm by T. Kingfisher. Just waiting for that moment. I'm trying here.
I love it.
T. Kingfisher, Wolfworm, her newest book that just came out a month ago.
Month-ish.
Half a month ago. Yep. Okay. I don't remember. I just grabbed it as soon as it was available and read it.
Recently came out.
Yes, not to be confused with Nine Goblins, which I still need to get and read. Because
is that by her too?
Yeah, it was like her first self-published book she talked about on the podcast.
Why? She just has so many. Her and Christopher Golden, man, they're just churning the hits out. It's crazy.
Well, Nine Goblins is a print with the publisher this time because it was her first self-published book that she did.
Okay.
And she got like her name out there from it because remember with the children's books, she wanted to write the opposite, so she wrote Nine Goblins, and so it's the first time being like traditionally published, I believe. And now it's out, so I don't really count that.
Yeah,
as like a book she wrote this year. So if you hear scrabbling, it's my bearded dragon next to me. She's mad because I haven't fed her breakfast yet, and I told her
it is late. It is time for breakfast for everybody.
Yeah, but she needs some sun before I feed her.
Do you need to take a break and feed your dragon?
She's fine. She's fine.
Because we can allow that.
She's probably just gonna poop. Let's be honest.
Then there you go. It's a good time to read the book copy.
All right. Yes. I was actually wanting to take this book around to some of my appointments the other day, and I was gonna take the cover off, but being like in the South, I saw the devil in these woods. I was a little embarrassed to walk around with that. I don't know why. So I walked around with the dust jacket, which is not what I like to do when I'm reading it.
I had the library edition, so I did not see that beautiful cover inside.
But you had the like in-print pages.
No,
right?
We didn't have that. Yeah, I had no art. I had no artistic copy of this book, and I feel a little gypped now.
Well, it's the same on the back. Like the back one.
Okay.
But I'm a little disappointed in the fact that it looks cartoonish.
Need to make my screen bigger. Hold on. Ancient eyes here. What am I looking at? What is
a wolfworm? Right?
That makes sense. Ew. Okay.
But it's like cartoony.
It is a little cartoony. Yeah, I expected it to be a bit more scientific, like Sonia's
like the
drawings.
Front. Like,
or that, yeah.
All right, synopsis. Sonia Wilson is a talented scientific illustrator, but only able to follow her dream because of her father's reputation as a renowned scientist. And after his death, she is left without work, prospects, or hope. Such is the lot in life for a woman in science. And once there, though, she encounters dark happenings in the Carolina woods and even darker questions. What happened to her predecessor? Why are animals acting so strangely? And what is behind the peculiar local whispers about blood thieves? With the aid of the housekeeper and a local healer, Sonia discovers that Halder's etymological studies have taken him down a twisted road. His groundbreaking discoveries come at a cost, one that Halder is paying with human flesh. If Sonia can't find a way to stop the monstrosity, she may be next under the knife.
Pretty gripping. Pretty gripping.
I know. So, CJ read a vampire book. CJ read a vampire book. CJ
Yes, I did. I have read vampire books before. I am a Twilight fan, but it has been a while, admittedly.
I guess I should have also prefaced this as being like, there will be spoilers. Whoops.
I think we say that in our intro. We should listen to that again and see, because there are going to be spoilers, everyone.
I mean,
spoilers.
I haven't really been good about including the intro because we are so different now with once a month. And
whoops. Hey, everyone.
It said blood letters.
Huh?
It said blood letters.
Blood letters.
And the synopsis, blood letters. Oh, blood thieves. I'm sorry, my chat yesterday was full of blood letters because like 5 people had to go get their blood drawn. So I'm just in this.
Oh, blood letters. I thought you meant like letters, but the letting of the blood. I see what you mean.
Yeah,
sorry, I like that. That's a good phrase, actually. Blood letters. Okay.
So yes, okay. CJ, but you've refused to read a vampire book. I feel like since we started the podcast.
Have I really?
You didn't want to read the new Christopher Golden book because you thought there were vampires in it. And then you changed your mind. Because there weren't.
I am a fickle creature. What can I say? Okay.
I feel like I get a choice in some books. So I feel like I should throw a vampire book in here.
You should throw a vampire book. I will read. We read the Witches and the Vampires book last year. Audra Wallace's Hex Hocus Pocus something. With the ladies who were witches. The cozy
Late
one.
Night Witches?
Maybe that's it.
With the practical magic vibe? I thought I read that one on my own.
Yeah. No.
Oh, we read that together?
We read that together. And it had vampires. I know. It all blurs together. We're just so popular doing all these books. This is a meandering episode, folks.
I know.
This is what once a month gets you. We tend to wander and we lose our focus a little bit, but we're all here for a good time.
Well, behind me right here are all the books we've read for the podcast. That's why I was checking, because I'm keeping them together.
You see it?
Posterity. No, I don't. I see it over there to the non-podcast.
Well, someone has misfiled their book.
Okay, clearly. Anywho's.
Let's
rate this book.
Okay, let's rate Wolfworm. I gave Wolfworm, I am torn between 3 and 3.5. I'm hoping to make up my mind by the end of this episode.
I gave it a flat 3 stars, surprisingly. To give a breakdown of my rating, I did 3 for character. I actually really liked the setting. 4 for setting, 3 for plot, 2 for themes. 3 for writing, 3 for emotions, and I guess 3 for my enjoyment, which is being nice because I can't be mean to Kingfisher.
I know. Remember what I always say, not everyone can be a winner. When you churn out this many books, some of them have to be a little less enjoyable than the others, but it wasn't like horrible. Like I still enjoyed reading it. I never not enjoy Kingfisher books. Is this my favorite? No.
I think the problem is, one, if you read the back, because in her acknowledgement, she goes into a little bit more detail, which I always love about her. She gives like backstory behind why she wrote it, what her inspiration was, what the science was behind where she got where she was. And I think from the interview, we felt that she wanted to so much write an etymology book.
Yeah, totally.
But you find out that she was actually going through chemo during the time that she wrote this book. And that kind of makes sense. And I hate to say it. And that's like...
How do you feel that fits in?
Because I feel like we just lost her spark. We lost like what makes her her and why I fell in love with her, because she has this way of writing whimsy into her books. And it's like a stylized thing. It's not like she's purposely writing this whimsy, but there's just this tone in her voice, the way she approaches things, the whimsy. And Sonya and the setting and just everything about this was just not, it did not come across as Kingfisher to me. It could have been anyone off the street, and I just lost her tone, her style, her essence. The cat was a letdown. I'm sorry. Because she always adds an animal. There's a quirky little animal.
Cat was cute.
But it wasn't the horse or the dog or any of the other animals she's put in her books.
Not everything can be the Sworn Soldier series. It has to be different.
Also, the Hollow Places had a cute animal.
I know.
And was it the Twisted Ones had an awesome animal?
Yes, that's true.
But the point is, it goes down to her tone was missing. Her artistic flair of who she is as a writer was just really missing from this. And it just felt like any old person, like, I don't mean it that way, like another published author. But like it just, because you know how they always say, you have to develop your tone, you have to develop your style, you have to develop what makes you as an author, why people go back to you. And that was just, her style was missing.
It's interesting. I'm glad you elaborated on that, because I enjoyed the first part of the book a lot, like the setup, meeting Sonya, her traveling there. And I did feel like that signature spark, that humor, that wit was there, and I was really liking it. And then it kind of tapered out for me, and I didn't realize that signature style is what I was missing. But you're absolutely right. That is what I was missing from it, and I too felt the loss of that now that I think about it. But in the beginning, I liked it. It actually, a lot of this book reminded me of what I thought The Woods Are All Black would have been. Like when we started reading it, this is kind of more what I expected. A little bit more suspense, a little creepiness, a little weird goings on. So it kind of reminded me of that book. I mean, you all know I hated that book. Not that I hated this one, but that loss of signature style, it blended too much with what I read from that other author, who I don't even remember their name right now.
Don't even ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would make sense going with like what she was going through in life, that, she would lose her identity a little bit in that traumatic experience. And that's why I'm just saying I feel like it makes sense. And I hate to be like this, but I give her so much more grace because of it, which is why I feel bad, because someone shouldn't have to just be going through such a traumatic thing to lose who they are. But
she was going through this awful, horrible situation, but she still wrote a solid story. She still wrote something from her imagination that came to life. That is amazing. And it gives me inspiration and hope that, like, I've had a really rough few years with health, and I've managed to write through them all. And just seeing what she was able to do is just really inspirational,
Yeah, and I do think that there's moments, because once we hit the point where Sonya was locked up, I sound just like weird. When she was locked up and being able to talk to Saul and have that interaction a little bit, and like she's digging, and then he's like the quirky conversation back and forth and all of that, and just like who Saul came out as like a personality. I was like, this
that was better.
Kingfisher.
Yeah, that's true. It's very, one of the things I was thinking while I was reading it is that it's very one character, like, a one-man play. Like, it's hard to hold a conversation and a story with just one character. And there's a lot of screen time for just Sonya in this book. And that's difficult to do. And sometimes it goes really, really well, and other times it doesn't go as well, And I do think the parts where she was interacting with other characters were the highlights, definitely.
We had so much about painting, which is fine. I do appreciate that, like, touches. I was like, when are we going to get to the point? Like, what is going on? Like, when are you going to tell me, like, what we're really caring about in this book?
So I did notice that too, but I like the lead-in because I loved historical fiction, and I was so excited when I discovered, for some reason, again, I didn't know that this was going to be historical fiction. I love how she writes historical fiction. It's just absolutely beautiful. It has that old-timey cadence, but she still throws in modern witticisms, and she uses adverbs galore. And I love me an adverb. We don't use them enough in today's modern writing, and they were just everywhere. And I love the setup of the book. Like, I could have read a whole book of just her like detailing her days of going down to the kitchen and then going back to sketch a fly and then taking a walk in the country. Like, that was wonderful for me. It took more of a downturn for me when like shit started getting suspicious and she started following the guy with the lantern. I'm like, oh, can we just go back to just painting in the room?
And I'm the opposite. I was like, yay, finally, something moving this forward.
Yeah, I love that. Was it the raccoon, a possum, whatever that animal scene was? I thought that was really well done. Good tension and like, what is that? And creep and stuff, and how it was trying to get into the room like that. Like, it's almost possessed or human trying to get in with the door handle. My cat has recently learned that what door handles do, and he can't do it yet, but he knows what that handle is. So the whole time I'm reading that scene, imagining my cat like doing that with the door handle. Like, if he does that, we're
I think you're gonna have to pull out some of that like baby stuff that keeps people
seriously, I have to baby cat proof the house so I can sleep at night.
I have a friend who actually has to. She had to put on her cabinet doors because the cat kept going into the bottom cabinets in the kitchen.
I see that on Instagram all the time, like these crafty little, usually orange cats who just find their way into the cupboards and open things. And it's like, how are you not dead from eating something you're not supposed to? It's amazing. Cats are so smart. They're so smart.
That's why I have dogs. Yeah.
But I thought that scene was really good. There was good tension. I wished there was more tension like that throughout the book, because the rest of it, I was annoyed at humanity, which again is like a theme of, Kingfisher's books that I do enjoy. Is humanity the monster? Is the monster the monster? We saw that a lot in Sworn Soldier. And like Saul is just the dude who's being held captive and eaten alive repeatedly, which sounds like the worst torture ever. Like, if the Crusaders and the Inquisition people had gotten their hands on that, oh my God,
Yeah, that was bad. That was...
Okay, question. Did you see it coming that the body kept in that shed was a vampire? Because I did not see that coming.
No,
I feel really stupid. You didn't see it either? I thought for sure you would have known that. Even though they talked about blood thieves, I was like, it's a vampire? That makes so much more sense now.
But let's just remember, my brain's not fully working correctly right now.
Yeah. But still, I'm a little
ride.
disappointed in myself. On the other hand, it was nice to be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like, this makes complete utter sense now.
I kept trying to figure out how he's keeping a body alive. Is it a zombie? Is it something? Is it witchcraft? Vampire is the most obvious explanation. And for some reason, didn't happen.
Did you just say vampire is an obvious?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, what else could do that but a vampire? What?
No,
vampires aren't real?
No, I just think it's funny that, like, what is it, Occam's razor or whatever? Go with the simplest solution is always the answer, vampire. And your simplest solution is a vampire.
In the context of this book about blood thief, there's so much blood thief talk. And the immortal children from, like, from Twilight, kind of. And yet somehow I did not think the body in the shed was a vampire. I feel a little embarrassed.
Yeah, I will agree. I think we should be a little embarrassed that we didn't get this one.
Then Kingfisher, please don't listen to this, because I'm embarrassed that, I didn't figure that out. You led us right to it. And I'm just like, nope, going the other way.
I have an excuse, so at least I have a reason.
I'm blonde.
What do you have?
I'm blonde. I got my highlights redone, and
But going back to, like, the idea of the simplest solution being a vampire and just all of that, that actually is one of the reasons I love Kingfisher so much, and she does pull it off very well in this book again, is that everything, I would say, except for A House with Good Bones, because for me that was, like, not as, like...
Is that the one with the vultures?
Yes. All of her books, why they are so fucking scary for me, is that all of her books are so based in reality and having a tie to an explanation that it could almost be real in our world. Like, the Hollow Places scared the shit out of me because of the fact of how realistic she makes the existence of I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to give away, but the possibility of what happens in that book. And the same with the Twisted Places, Twisted Ones,
Right.
Twisted Places,
Twisted Ones, Hollow Places.
Yes, Twisted Ones. And the same with Wolfworm. Is it just, if vampires are going to exist, this is like what
this
it
is
feels
what would
like.
happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also interesting that she made the vampires like wolfworms in the sense of giving birth.
Did she?
Well, because if a vampire impregnates a human, the fetus essentially devours the host, just like wolfworms do.
That's right, yeah.
So that was also a very interesting take. But the fact of how it all played out, and that felt so realistic and true, that that's one of the things I love about her and why she is a scary fucking horror writer for me. Maybe not so much this book, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this wasn't, there's horror and then there's supernatural suspense. And I feel this was more supernatural suspense with little elements of horror, like that possum. To me, that was horror. That was pretty terrifying. That was, because again, you could see it happening with, it being rabies or something like that. Or I guess the wolfworm, that could actually happen because that's what things do. I don't know. So one thing about this book is that I was very conflicted while I was reading it because she talks about all these different bugs and everything that they can do. And it's totally gross. But I also kind of wanted to see what these bugs look like. So I was like, should I Google them? Should I Google them incognito mode? Should I not Google them and just use my mind and the images that Kingfisher has put in there? But I really wanted to see them because I found the description so fat. What are you looking up? Are you looking up wolfworms?
Okay, because I wanted to
show me, because I don't want to look it up on my phone because I'm afraid like Google algorithms and Instagram algorithms are going to show me bugs all the time. No, don't show me. No. Okay. Okay, you can't make that face and not show me.
I'm not showing you while we're on the podcast. I'll show you after. Okay.
People want to know. I'm sure there's people like me who want to see this.
Then you are an adult and you can make the choice to look it up yourself. I'll show you when we're done recording.
Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure that wolfworm was real.
Okay, yeah, true.
Because she could have maybe made up the book. Nope, she didn't. It's real. It's also called a warble. If you want to get
a what? A warble?
A warble. So if you want to get a true image of what it looks like, Google warble, not wolfworm, because you're going to get her book and not the actual book.
Okay.
But yeah, so because I was sitting here and I'm like, this is supposed to be horror. And like, you're saying supernatural, but the bugs are fucking real.
That is problematic. Yeah, and again, the true horror is life itself.
Like, I live in the South with a lot of bugs. Like kind of like the Carolinas.
Go walking in the woods.
And now, I have fear of like spiders and stuff like that. Natural fear, like perfectly good. We have black widows here, all that stuff. But like, I have a new horror to keep me up at night now.
Is it from this book?
Yeah, warbles.
Yeah, if they exist and they can do that and they lay their little eggs, like, how am I not dead already? How does this keep from happening?
Well, you don't live with a lot of bugs.
Okay. No, I have an exterminator come in 4 times a year.
But you also, you live in a place where it freezes and kills bugs.
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm having cold sweats right now. Like, I don't know what I said to myself.
New Jersey is a lovely state to move to and live a life in.
I wish.
Come join me, friend. Let's die for 4 months.
I just moved from a place where literally nothing can kill you, insect, bug-wise.
Dude, you told me about the spider that would be on your face when you woke up.
My face? Wait, what?
You told me there was a spider on your face.
No.
Like when we first started talking and it traumatized me, I'm like, how is this woman even functioning right now? And I was so impressed with you. While you were in your bed on your face.
No, but I'm saying, was it the one that I was in my bed and I flicked it onto my dog's face?
Maybe.
Because he was on the floor.
It was in the bed. It wasn't. I thought you woke up with it on your chest.
Face. And then I flicked it and it fell on my dog.
That's close enough on your chest. I can't. I just got a full-blown, chill shiver down my spine. I know I brought it up, but now I regret it so much.
Wait, did you look up
No.
the vampire spiders that I told you about last podcast?
Why would I do that? No.
You had a friend that was going to do it for you.
I decided maybe it was too intense for him. Yeah, I can't destroy young minds.
Okay, well,
I
don't
also
destroy his
forgot.
mind by Googling. Don't have him Google warble do-it-yourself.
Okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to have you do it for me and show you this. I've never been so excited for a podcast episode to end so I can see this. Not the spider, just the warble.
But yeah, so now I'm like paranoid because they're talking about the land in your eyes, the land in your nose, the land in your yeah. Yep, mm-hmm.
We
Can
thought
I
we were
move to
going
the
to go,
moon?
huh?
Can I move to the moon?
We thought we were all going to go because of climate change and political oppression, but no, it's going to be wolfworms.
The only love of God, thank you, Kingfisher, is that you made it special to where they fed on vampire blood, which made them feed on humans. Otherwise, they do tend to stick to animals. But then what if my dog gets one?
I worried about that. I was very grateful. My cat is an indoor cat. Can you put like a tick thingy on for wolfworm warbles?
Does that work? I mean, they do have ticks.
I don't know.
I have the tick one.
Maybe we should call Kingfisher and be like, what can we do to prevent this from happening to us? Because you've traumatized us.
I will 100% admit that ticks scare the shit out of me. And I've had ticks, so like, yeah. But you know what's almost slightly worse than ticks? Chiggers. Chiggers.
It's a chigger. You know what? Never mind.
I'll just say they burrow in your skin. They don't come out very easily. They're super itchy.
You live in the South. What is wrong with you? You're a sadist. Or a massa. Whatever the one that hurts yourself. You're just wrong. You're wrong. Move up north.
And have I caught chiggers? Yes.
Have you?
Yes.
Well, then you know what? You're your own problem sometimes.
The chiggers exist in stagnant water or tall grass, like when it's wet, like has high moisture.
So don't go through any deep puddles or through the fields.
I was a child playing in the stagnity side of a river. Okay? Not my fault. I was playing in the river, but it was where the water wasn't moving as much. Stupid me. Okay, stupid me. Okay, back on topic. Let's get back to the book. This is not an etymology podcast.
Thank God. Thank God. That would never last. I did appreciate the details she went into. Like, she amazes me so much with how much she knows about everything. Like the bugs, the detail, the art, actually, the way she talked about drawing. And I was like, is she an artist? Did I miss this? She's so knowledgeable about so much.
But did you forget she is an artist? That's
is she? I forgot that. Yeah.
Career. Remember, she did the graphic illustration. She did the children's books. She did furries are her most money makers.
That's right. I forgot that. Yeah, I did totally forget that. That's amazing that I love that she can incorporate all her interests into stories like that.
The amount of information that she was able to hold based on like the color choices and the ideas clearly shows she didn't just research this for the book. There is a total background to this.
Yeah.
How does she, Defense Miss, how does she exist with all of this passion and interest and abilities and is able to output in everything that she does?
She's just amazing.
The whole we all have the same 24 hours in a day is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I just I don't understand. I can barely balance writing. How does she do art and etymology research? And
I know. It's pretty impressive. And I love how she incorporates it, like with the Sworn Soldier series, all the botanical stuff, you know. And for the House with Good Bones, I tell everybody that vultures are actually very smart and friendly and social because she taught me that because of that book. And I love that she included that info. There's always tidbits of information in a Kingfisher book that you will walk away. Even if you didn't love the story, you will always walk away a better, more educated person.
Yeah, I just don't know if I needed the information I learned in this one.
Kind of happy. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I want to research so much. And I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. She just makes everything seem so fascinating.
Now, I have this weird question. Because, I'm always pushing the boundaries and I'm clearly going to get our podcast canceled at some point. But for some reason in my head, I kept picturing Sonya as a black woman.
I was wondering if Sonya was a man. And there were just two instances. Okay, do you want to go first why you thought she could be a black person?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how you got man out of it.
Because she talked a lot about secrets and being uncomfortable and not navigating. And then there was one part where she talks about when she's pushing the trunk to keep the possum out. And then the cook woman I forget her name. The cook comes up and is like, "How did you push that all by yourself?" And Sonia mentioned something about like, did she see my muscles hidden? I'm very tall. And I was like, I wonder if maybe she's a man passing off as a woman for whatever reason. Because she does that. Kingfisher does that. She makes gender fluid characters, you know? I was also maybe thinking about The Woods is All Black. It was a passing fancy.
I just also feel like if you were actually a guy, why would you hide yourself as a girl back then? Because girls...
Maybe you just felt like you wanted to be a woman.
If you're transgender, yeah.
Man, I feel like a woman. No?
But she was so destitute. I mean, I feel like I would...
That's true. Yeah, it was not the wise financial decision back in that day.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, I get the chunk of me adrenaline, but muscles. I feel like I kind of relate to her a little bit because I definitely grew up with a father who didn't treat me like a girl. And it was definitely more of just like, you're a person, so I got to do a lot of like playing with power tools and working on cars with him, and like he never actually was just like, oh, you can't do that. Well, I mean, once he was like, your mom's gonna kill me if I let you do this, but he still let me do it. But so I wonder if just like since she was like the only child to her father, if she did grow up with more of that, being able to just which I appreciate in the story, I felt that he never held her back.
Yeah, from definitely
experiencing life just because she was a woman, which is not common back then.
No,
and so part of me wonders like if that's more of what's coming out too.
Yeah. Why did you think she was black?
I don't know. It's just I kept trying to picture her as the white woman that T. Kingfisher clearly wrote it as, but I don't know. I just, especially when she would go down in the kitchen and just the way she accepted them and talked, I don't know. I just never, I had the hardest time picturing her white in this scenario. I don't know.
That's okay. But they made Hermione black in some of the versions, so you know what? It can be whatever you want in your head as the actor playing the character.
And I think that's just where my mind took it, and I feel like it fits the story really well.
Okay, then you go with it.
And I'm just like, I can't picture her being white. I don't know. I'm just silly.
What did you think of the Saul and what's her face, Halder's wife situation? The little ended romance going on there.
It wasn't Lydia, was it? Lauren?
And I had to return my book already.
Oh no.
Mrs. Scientist wife, who did all the illustrations.
Mrs. Kent.
I don't remember her name.
I know. I'm trying to find it.
I feel like it's going to be hard. Look toward the back of the book.
Yeah.
She was like at the very end of the book.
I found her, but they referred to her as Mrs. Wilson. Louisa.
What? Liza?
Louisa.
Louisa. Okay, yes. Louisa. Yeah. Okay.
Louisa.
Yeah. What'd you think of that whole thing?
I think it was great. I love that, my brain. I liked it. I think that it added a lot. Halder was clearly a narcissistic asshole. And she found love in relationships. And Saul as a vampire was able to find a love in relationship. It was believable.
Yeah. Some True Blood, Twilight-esque tones there, which I did appreciate. I don't know if I needed it. It just felt a little thrown in, kind of, for me.
Did it, though? Because to me, it set up the plot perfectly that it would put Halder in a position to be able to capture Saul.
That's true. And Saul put up with it because he was thinking that he had Louisa, like, in his grip.
Exactly. And what better way to feel like you could get away with torturing someone than not only are they a vampire, but they also are the person that was supposed to steal your wife. Like, to me, it fits into the plot perfectly of the emotional impact of it all.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you think of Phelps in the whole story of it all?
Is that the guy who takes her on the wagon and then, like, traps her in the thing? Yeah, he was quirky. I liked her comments about him because he was just like that God-fearing weirdo, like, who just sees everything through eyes of damnation. And
if you lived back then, okay, so we don't have the access to information that we do now. Okay, and you're living back then in the 1800s with only like mostly God-fearing people. You're also in the South. Let's add that into this. If you killed someone because of what he witnessed, because remember he witnessed her just eating the live pig's face, okay? And he's just like watching this girl go at it. So your first response probably would be to kill this creature who is acting weird. And then later you see the same person
Yeah.
resurrected in a sense.
Yeah.
And kill it. What would be your first response to all that but to maybe go to the only thing you know?
Yeah.
Christian religion.
But I feel like if I don't know. I don't want to get into like a religious debate here. But if that is if you believe in God, the benevolent God so much, why isn't he coming down to save you from the demon child, you know?
Yeah, because the devil had control of the woods.
But why doesn't God intervene? And I know that's very, you know, if you're sinners in the hands of an angry God type person, you believe that we're put on earth to suffer and be punished. And I guess that's just what he was kind of going with, that
Welcome
God
to
isn't
the South.
saving you. Yeah. Yeah.
But also, again, I feel like the way that his character was written and everything happened of the two men that were torturing Saul, I don't know, I feel like I had some empathy for Phelps.
Yeah. Yeah. He was more repentant about it.
And just the very fact of, like, if you were in his shoes and you were in this situation, and here is this creature that very much represents a traditional devil from what you've learned. You know, what would...
You think you're doing the Lord's work by keeping him chained up.
Yeah, and also, like, what would you... Okay, so, like, take religion out of it in general, but here's this, like, blood-sucking, not very human entity.
Monster.
Like, what would you do in general?
Run like, screaming away.
Yeah, but, like, wouldn't you also... That would kind of be your first response, too, is to protect yourself and essentially kill them? Especially when your first...
If a bear is coming at me, even though I love animals, I'm going to hit it with a shovel until it goes away and doesn't eat me.
Yeah, and your first interaction with that type of creature are the children who have no understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, they're just slave to their desires. Yeah, their bloodlust.
Which makes sense because they weren't trained, like he said. It's like, I don't know, he made some bird analogy that I can't remember now. You're raising a duck with chickens and then they never learn how to swim. But that's what I'm saying, like, it just... I don't know. I almost felt like really bad for him when he was essentially killed by Saul at the end, because it's just...
Oh yeah, that's right. He was like a puppet, kind of. You know, like Halder was the one, you know, with the puppet master calling all the shots. And I did like how Sonya / T. Kingfisher says a bunch of times, like, I'm used to working with my father. I know how, like, blinded they can get to morality when it comes to science, to figuring out something. Like, there is a certain amount of sacrifice that has to be made in order for science to progress. That's how we have cures. You do animal testing, you know, and it's awful and horrible. However, we all don't die from pneumonia, and that's awesome, you know? So I get it. It has to happen. It's just, this was just a much bigger lab rat, basically. You know, and it was torture. It was torture, but...
How do you honestly feel about the people who used to take cadavers and dig up bodies from graves so that they could understand and dissect the human body? We wouldn't have an understanding, you know.
I'm dead. You can take my body and dissect it. That's fine.
But you know, they were taking bodies that hadn't given consent, and back then, you know, there was so many questions from a religious aspect, but there were so many questions about desecrating dead bodies, you know, not proper burials, all this stuff. But here are these people who are just so one-sided focused to understand what was going on, and they advanced science a lot, and so you kind of in a way understand Halder just slightly too in that sense, but not like, oh my god,
you can get it and still be really uncomfortable with it, and I think that's what makes us not scientists.
Well, I like science, but I want to go for like physics where I'm not torturing poor innocent creatures.
Yeah, totally.
But I know, I've definitely, you know, I'm a person that doesn't believe in animal testing and all that, but I do sit with this idea of we wouldn't be able to push forward cancer research and some of the achievements that we've done if we weren't, you know, if we weren't testing on animals, because it's not any more ethical to ask a human to completely risk their life.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to die anyway because you have one of those extreme cancers and, like, let's try all this on you because there's a chance you can live, that's a little different. But just...
I do it,
Just asking an average person to be like, we need to know what's going to happen.
I saw I Am Legend. I want them to test that shit on animals before they test it on people. Absolutely. But I still don't like that.
Do I feel horrible?
Yes.
And I do fight for the idea of let's give that animal the best fucking life they can have while they're here, though. Let's give them the biggest cages and the fanciest food and, like, make their life as comfortable as you possibly can while they're here. And just know what you're doing and don't do it callously, I guess.
Like if Halder in this book had just, taken the vampire for like a little 3-day trial test period, I'd be a lot more forgiving. But this was absolute torture. He was down there for like a year. I thought it was interesting he didn't tell Louisa how long he was actually down there for, I think. Or maybe he did eventually.
No, he said he was always going to keep it a secret.
Yeah. Yeah, because he didn't want her to know. And that would be so hard to know that someone you love has endured that for you, basically,
Yeah, because she
was
thought
far
he was
away,
dead.
but yeah.
And I think if she had known that he was being tortured that whole time, she would have returned,
She
which
would
would
have
have hurt
come
her
back,
too,
yeah.
which would have hurt him.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it comes around to Halder needs to die early in the book, and then everybody lives happily ever after.
Yeah, well, I will say the ending was so sweet too, because
Yeah.
Louisa came in, took his information, got it published so they could become two powerhouse women illustrators, which then opened the door to Sonia possibly having access to publishing her own botanical thing that was her real passion. And I just love that Louisa took Sonia in and they became like this household and they were going to live together, and that's really sweet and cute. And
I think they're too far apart, maybe chronologically, but I feel like Miss Potter from Sworn Soldier series and Sonia would get along very well as best buddies and make a nice a compilation together or something, a collab.
I know, let's have some crossover. Let's
crossover.
do this. So I remember we had like a tiny little discussion on our last like personal phone chat that there was something that really grossed you out in this book, and I hadn't finished it yet, so you didn't tell me the scene that grossed you out. I made a guess. I was wrong. So, what was the thing that really grossed you out in this book?
It's a good question. I have a note here that says, OMG, the info about the screwworm burying eggs and them hatching. Ew! So I think that was it. But I don't really remember that scene. But I wrote it down, so I must have been like gagging. But it wasn't as bad as like the eye scoop scene. I
was gonna say, so I feel like we should have a baseline of Ice Scoop. Is this worse or not as bad as Ice Scoop? Which we're just gonna call it Ice Scoop now.
Ice Scoop.
Ice Scoop.
Ice cream scoop. Ice Scoop.
If you don't know what we're talking about the ice cream scoop scene in Dollface.
Yeah, and you should spoilers, but you should go watch that episode after you read the book. This is way easier to deal with than the eye scoop scene.
I slightly disagree with you, but we also know I don't have eye trauma.
That's true.
So CJ has eye trauma problems, so anything dealing with the eye she can't handle. I have teeth problems. That's where my thing is. But I think for me, I got more of a reaction when he sat up from the table than I did with the ice cube.
When he went at the oh yeah. That was gross.
When Saul
but that was
sat
okay.
up.
Yeah, and the skin. I figured that was going to happen. I saw that one coming, so I'm just like,
same,
all right.
but I
wasn't my favorite part, the flaying, but I'm like, he's a vampire. It'll grow back. He's endured like so much crap. Like the idea of something like eating me from the inside out every day, like that is horrific. Way to go, Kingfisher, for just adding fuel to my nightmares. That is a never-ending torture.
There's a part where I was reading this book and I'm like, I don't know, like, is this really horror? I mean, I feel like this is way more historical fiction. And then we got to his whole experience and I was like, oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah. I feel like that one didn't bother me as much because, like, he was the likelihood of being, number one, being a vampire, and number two, held captive long enough to survive such a thing isn't really possible. But, like, screwworms just burying into you, that could happen. And that, to me, is horror.
And the whole, like, poor animals that would get in their brain.
That was so sad. That poor possum.
And the squirrel that he ate.
And the squirrel.
The bunny that she drowned.
There was a lot of animal unhappiness in this one.
Okay,
but the cat ate it.
Did you guess that Phelps had a screwworm in him the entire time?
No, I actually forgot that happened. No, I did not.
I did. As soon
that
as
was
she's
making him kind of crazy?
Yeah, because she's like, because he said he hit his head, and as soon as she saw the lump, I was like, that's a screwworm.
Yeah, I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
There's so many surprises in this book for me.
I actually like that moment when he was like trying to fight the screwworm in his head, and he couldn't, and he kept going towards.
And he kept like scratching
Saul.
At the back too, and she's like, "Don't, you'll get infected." And he's like, "It's too fucking late." Yeah.
Which is also interesting. I loved the little note that Kingfisher did put in about that Saul would go crazy at times, but his vampire nature of healing would heal the crazy side of his brain. And that is why he was like, just the little details she puts into her books to explain why he's not crazy or da 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 da, or this is.
Yeah.
She's so detailed in everything she does.
She does. Yeah. It's amazing.
This book deserves a higher rating than a 3, but too late.
I was just thinking that I think I'm going to bump it to a 3.5 because talking about so many things she's been able to do with it, even though I didn't absolutely love the story and the style, it still was a great read. It was still well executed. And I didn't see like typos, copying, editing things, developmental editing things. Like I have had quite a reading slump lately because I keep coming across books that are poorly edited, poorly written, just sloppy work. And I feel like no one's writing well executed stories anymore. And thank you, Kingfisher, for reminding me that that still exists. And thank you to your editor, because that person's also helpful with that. And it was nice to read a book where I didn't have to pick it apart for what should have been done better. Because I do that a lot.
Yeah. And I agree. It's nice to see how popular she actually is. Because, I don't know, I feel like I lived in a world where no one knew who Kingfisher was. And then I started talking to other readers recently in my book club and stuff, and how many people actually know who she is. And I'm just like, yes, yes, yes. And it's it's nice.
She surged in popularity the last 2 years, which is awesome because she deserves to. She's an amazing writer. So.
Yeah. And then the opposite's happening because in my book club, everyone's reading the first Darker Shade of Magic book right now, which I've already read that trilogy like 8 years ago. Everyone hates it.
But who wrote that?
V.E. Schwab.
Oh, okay.
And it's so funny because when I read it, I was in a group of people that adored the series, and I was the oddball. And now I'm in this group of people that are just like, what was the point of this? What's going on? I don't get it. And I'm just like, this is weird that I'm now with people who don't like it like me. But yeah, I think book reading has been very difficult lately. Same here. I think I don't count my reread because I already knew it was amazing. I did reread a book and it was 5 stars, but I was like, I already knew that, so I don't count that. But I've only read one book this year that absolutely was just threw me off my feet.
Maybe read one, definitely one I think I liked, but I don't remember what it is. And maybe a second one, but overall just not what I'm used to. I actually think, apart from our podcast books, I'm going to take a little break from reading books because I want to embroider more. And 2, just nothing is, grabbing my attention. And luckily I have so many books I've read logged that I can still, publish blog posts and recipes for over a year with books that I've read. So I don't have to worry about like reading to keep up with my blog. But I think I need a little reading break overall because I'm just not finding it to be as enjoyable as it used to be.
I wouldn't even call this a reading slump because I feel like the books are letting you down.
It's true.
And I can't recommend anything to you because we don't entirely read the same things. But you know what your next 5-star read is going to be?
What? That is true. Yes, absolutely.
Which I'm getting back on. It is slow going, but we are back on it, mostly, kind of, sort of. There might be a little 2-month break right now due to things, but we're getting there, and I'm happy. So, yeah.
Nice. Okay. I look forward to that 5-star read because I need it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I'm really amping up the horror in this book. I'm really going to try. I'm going to push that and just...
That's what I want.
But it's not what you're thinking. It's not space horror.
That's okay. I'll take it. I like space horror now.
I know. I wish I could recommend you the book I just read, but you would hate it.
I'm just so picky right now. I'm reading Lessons in Chemistry right now, which I am enjoying. It is different and unique and fun, and I like it. Is it 5 stars for me? No, I already know it's not going to be 5 stars. 3.5 to 4. But
you need a consuming book, which possibly could be our next book for May because her first book was all consuming for us.
Oh, that's right.
And we were obsessed with it, and we have been counting down the days to when her second. Or the next book, I don't know exactly her second, but will come out, and we are proud to announce, and I don't have the book because my bookstore wasn't selling it. So I ordered it online, which I'm very disappointed in my bookstore for not stocking this.
It is.
But we are reading.
And they sold out. Sorry.
No, I don't think so. We are reading Japanese Gothic by Kylie Baker. And if you don't remember, she's the one that wrote Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang, which we did talk about on the podcast. So make sure to check that out if you want to get a glimpse of her first book, that we read, which was just
phenomenal.
So I will read the Goodreads synopsis since I don't have the book. October 2026. Lee Turner doesn't remember how or why he killed his college roommate. The details are blurred and bloody. All he knows is he has to flee New York and go to the one place that might offer refuge, his father's new home in Japan, a house hidden by sword ferns and wild ginger. But something is terribly wrong with the house. No animals will come near it. The bedroom window isn't always a window, and a woman with a sword appears in the yard when night falls. October 1877. Sen is a young samurai in exile, hiding from the imperial soldiers in a house behind the sword ferns. A monster came home from war wearing her father's face, but Sen would do anything to please him, even turn her sword on her own mother. She knows the soldiers will soon slaughter her whole family when she sees a terrible omen, a young foreign man who appears outside her window. One of these people is a ghost, and one of these stories is a lie. Something is hidden beneath the house of sword ferns, and Lee and Sen will soon wish they never unburied it.
Sounds like a time loop or like parallel dimensions where like they're seeing each other in their different time periods or something, and a haunted house. I
love how it's like one of these people is a ghost and one of these stories is a lie.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm excited. And the cover looks pretty too.
I know. And then she's really delving into, I believe she said Japanese mythology for this, which is something I'm not very familiar with. So I'm really excited to delve into that. I feel like there was a lot of that. I'm going to say Asian because I don't exactly remember, but Asian culture thrown into her first book as well. And I really like that she leaned on, what was it, their ghosts of the
the hungry ghost. I think it was Chinese.
Yeah.
But yeah, the hungry ghost, that was terrifying for me. I remember being freaked out in a way that I haven't been in a while by the thought of the hungry needle thin ghosts.
The neck. But it's just like it's interesting to me, and this is what makes horror like have fresh taste for me, is when we throw in people with other cultural experiences and they bring in their own mythology and their own horror and their
that we're not
campfire stories into the realm as well, because I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I'm very oversaturated on the Western ghost ideas, and I love hearing about different, to me, cultures that have all these rich stories and mythologies and folklores, and it just adds so much tension and fear because it's unfamiliar. Just the fact that it's unfamiliar is scary enough, you know?
Yeah. So don't let us down. Let us make a good book. We need it. So yeah, if you want to get your copy for next month, which will be the last Thursday in May that we'll be posting it, make sure you use our bookshop.org link below to get a copy. It helps us, fund this creative endeavor.
Yep.
We got our nice fancy new microphones, so
we do.
Thank you.
What is your final rating for Wolfworm?
I just don't know what category. I guess plot, themes.
Overall.
I guess I could range themes, which would raise it. Maybe I'll bump up themes from a 2 to a 4.
And that's quite the jump.
Well, the more I thought about it and the more we talked about the themes and we really delved deep into the religious aspect, who's the real monster, I think it deserves it.
Okay. Yeah. Well done, Kingfisher. Well done in general, and excellently well done under difficult circumstances. We are proud of you, and we love you, and we cannot wait for your next book.
I feel like I was a bad person for rating it so low, and it was my own issues and not her. Though I still hold she missed some of her whimsy.
I do feel that I think you were spot on about that. There was a little spark missing from it that I have enjoyed in all of her other books. And whatever the reason is, I'm sure it will be back in other books because, again, they can't all be winners. So.
And it's not just a Sworn Soldier thing. She's had it in multiple books. Yeah. Every single book I've read by her has had that. And so I do really equate that to her style and not just the characters from a specific series.
Yeah. I think I'm ready for a contemporary story from her again, though. Like, we've read a lot of historical fiction from her, and I've loved it. But I think I'm ready to go switch back to a more modern contemporary story from her. But I'll take whatever she wants to publish, honestly.
I don't feel like she gave any clues in the podcast to really tell us. Like, she talked about this one, I feel like. and she hinted at wanting to write another Sworn Soldier book, but...
And we gave her that idea for Miss Potter and what's-his-face to get married, and then we go off to, like, America to research stuff there.
Canada, right?
Canada.
Because she wanted to get him into Canada?
Yes, Canada. And I'm like, they could go on their honeymoon and look at plants, and she was like,
I really hope she does this.
I will just die with happiness.
It's almost as like I got published myself.
I know, right? It's just like, oh, we influenced our muse, our inspiration. One can only hope for such things in life.
But yeah, so I'm excited. Keep reading, friends. As my sign says, read books, be kind, stay weird. As usual. Yeah.
Always weird. I think we're good.
Yeah. And you were leaving at 3.5, right? You're going to go up to 3.5.
Yeah. I'm going to do 3.5.
Perfect. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your April, whatever's left. We'll see you in May, and yeah, bye.
Bye.